Hey everyone, and welcome to Live in the IE, California's Inland Vibe. We are shining a light on people, places, businesses, and stories that make the Inland Empire such an incredible place to call home. I'm your host, Stephanie, and whether you're listening to KMET 1490 AM and 98.1 FM, catching us on your favorite podcast platform, or watching us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, thank you for being here and supporting local stories and local voices. Today's episode is a little bit different. For the first few episodes, I've asked guests to share stories, their journeys, and moments that shaped them, and then it hit me. I've never really shared mine. Now, fair warning, my dad and my bestie informed me that apparently I share way too much information. I'm basically like an open book. So this version is going to be radio friendly. If I'm going to ask others to be vulnerable and authentic on this show, I should probably lead by example. So today is all about my boys, my family, and the winding road that brought us here. I used to think that adulthood meant eventually having everything figured out. Spoiler alert, it does not. Instead, life handed me 4 boys and a whole lot of plot twists and enough unexpected turns to keep things really interesting. If you've ever looked around your life and thought, well, this definitely wasn't on my vision board, then congratulations, we are now best friends. Because that basically is my journey in a nutshell. Somewhere along the way, life started improvising while I was still trying to follow the original script, or at least what I thought it was. Plans changed, chapters changed, and priorities changed. And before I knew it, I found myself learning how to rebuild, reinvent, and figure out one day at a time while trying to raise 4 boys who somehow treat a fully stocked pantry like a competitive eating challenge. Seriously, I have no idea where all the food goes. I am convinced teenage boys is like having a second stomach that scientists just haven't discovered yet. There are hard seasons, there were moves, and there were moments where I just really honestly wasn't sure how everything was going to work out. But I learned something important. Sometimes strength doesn't always look like doing everything yourself. Sometimes strength looks like accepting help from people who offer it, which I am still learning how to do because I am very stubborn. There were many incredible people who stepped into our lives during some of those very hard years and helped carry us through, one of them being Lucy and, of course, my family. And I will never forget that kindness and just how much you helped us through such a hard time. Just when I thought life couldn't have possibly thrown another plot twist our way, my mom suffered a massive heart attack. Our family entered a world of hospitals, medicine, equipment, caregiving, and learning things we never expected to learn. It changed all of us, but it also brought those ordinary moments for us to celebrate. A family dinner became something worth appreciating, and time suddenly felt a lot more valuable. And honestly, that lesson shaped me into how I parent my boys today. Eventually, I found my way into working with our local school district, which I am so thankful for. I picked up extra work when I needed to and went back to school in 2023. I became a proud LOPE student and still am, holding a high GPA through it all. And somewhere in the middle of all of that chaos, Live in the IE was born. My mom and dad helped come up with the name while my mom was in the hospital. She was so excited about it, and my dad was completely on board, which tells me it was probably a good idea. He has the sense of logic in our family. I think a little piece of her, my dad, will always remain inside the show. Life still wasn't perfect. Somewhere along the way, I stopped waiting for life to become perfect and started appreciating that it already was pretty beautiful. I've learned that people come into our lives for different reasons. Some stay forever, and some stay for a season. Some teach us lessons that we never wanted, but somehow we needed. I've learned that people who belong in your life continue to choose you, and people who don't eventually make that decision for themselves. As hard as it can be, every ending creates room for the people who were meant to be there. When I look around, I don't see what I lost. I see what remains. I see the blessings. I see the growth. And most importantly, I see my boys. Okay, enough being emotional. Before I jump into our summer adventures and the stars of this episode, my boys, I wanted to give a quick recap aboard the Queen Mary on the 4th of July, because honestly, I don't know how I'm supposed to top that one. First of all, I am incredibly honored to be invited out and to experience a special event surrounded by so many amazing and inspiring, genuine, welcoming people. The energy all night was just happy, and I felt like everyone was there for the same reason, to celebrate, make memories, and enjoy being together. And those fireworks were amazing. Hands down, the best fireworks show I personally have ever experienced in my life, and I don't know if it gets any better than that. It was just incredible. We were right there watching them launch off from the front of the ship. It was just incredible. It was one of those moments where you really just stop and think, okay, this is pretty incredible. The speakeasy was definitely the place to be, although fair warning, be careful where you sit, because you might just end up sharing the table with a little bit more than what you bargained for. The theater was beautiful, and finally, to check out the propeller room that Steve mentioned on the show, I think it was episode 2, was every bit as cool and surreal as he described. Now, the famous haunted room that everybody talks about, honestly, I really wasn't getting the ghost vibes from there. I mean, it was still spooky because there's like a door and you have to look through the glass, so I was waiting for something to pop up like in the scary movies. But the room, it really wasn't that like ghost vibey. But there was a room that we found along the way where they cared for the sick passengers. That room was a completely different story. It definitely had a feeling to it. It definitely brought in those ghosty vibes. Let's just say it was one of those moments where you were like, nope, I'm out. And you're running out of the room just as quick as you entered. The craziest part is realizing just how much we still didn't see on that ship. The ship felt like an entire floating city, and after a while, every hallway genuinely did seem like we were walking down the same thing. And you begin wondering if you walked past those same staircase 4 times already, which I'm pretty sure we did that more than 4 times. One thing about being a boy mom, especially a single mom, has taught me that kids don't remember nearly as much of what you bought them as they do with what you did with them. Experiences become our thing. Random adventures, last minute road trips, and sure, why not days. Tuesday, we were up at Lake Gregory, and it has become one of our yearly summer traditions. If you've never been up there, they have giant inflatable obstacles, courses floating out on the water that you have to swim out to, and somehow my kids make it look so incredibly easy, while I'm over there just trying to think of all the giant fish and hoping that none of them brush up against my leg. None did touch me, but I did see a couple out there, and they are beautiful, but no, I don't want them touching me. They also have water slides on the backside, and somehow every year I forget just how cold that mountain water actually is and just how much those slides throw you around. I was definitely feeling my age, and I am still extremely very sore in every part of my body. On our way out, because the food concession stand was closed, and I promised my youngest I'd get him dipping dots, we stopped at the cutest little business despite my boys wanting to go home and call it a day. It was called Mountain Cravings. Super adorable little spot. If you're ever up there in the area, I totally recommend you checking it out. It was well worth the stop, and it was so delicious, and everybody definitely was on board and agreed that it was perfect. Earlier this month, we tackled Six Flags Magic Mountain, which basically meant I spent my entire day pretending like roller coasters didn't scare me as much as they actually do, and trying to convince my kids that if I go on that coaster with a 255-foot drop, it might just kill me. But here I am still kicking, and I love them too much to not go on it. So they suckered me on. A mother's love, right? And the things we do for our kids. We've had our fair share of Pokemon adventures too. Somehow my boys can find a rare Pokemon hiding 3 cities away, but still cannot locate their hamper 5 feet from their bed. The mystery still continues. Or they can identify 800 Pokemon by sight, and somehow cannot identify who left the soda cans and half-drank bottles of water in their bedrooms. Get my point? I thought so. We're also spending some time riding up an El Mirage dry lake bed. It's a OHV recreation area, making dust, making memories, and reminding ourselves that sometimes the best days don't need much more going on other than good company, getting dirty, and a little bit of adventure. Take that extra trip, one more ride, and one more memory, because there's one thing parenthood teaches you is this. The days are long, but the years are fast. And somehow those little boys who needed help tying their shoes turn into teenagers that eat everything and only wanting video games and their friends, and will soon be asking for those car keys, which is terrifying, and forewarn all you drivers out there. So if you can take that trip, take it. If you can make that memory, make it. Because years from now, I don't think my boys will remember what was in my bank account or lacking. But I do think they'll remember the lake days, the roller coaster rides, the dusty rides, the water slides, and the moments we spent together laughing our way through it all. Some of our favorite adventures haven't always been these big, expensive trips. Some of our best memories come from places right here in our own backyard. We spent afternoons at Fairmount Park looking and walking around, and just to get out of the house, have a little picnic. We've hiked up to the Heart Rock Trail, which I recommend you guys do. There's a really cute little waterfall up there in some area where the kids can splash around, and it's not even that bad of a hike. We've hiked up to the iconic Moreno Valley M, which would probably kill me if I tried to do that today. And, of course, we've done the classic trek up to Mount Rubidoux more than once, and I think if I asked them to do it again, they would probably tell me no. There have been our big adventure days, places like Six Flags and Knott's Berry Farm, that somehow never get old no matter how many times you go up. I am also very determined to paddleboard over at Lake Perris to the island. That was one of my goals for this summer. And I also would like to plan a Catalina trip, because those little rides are always on Groupon and they seem like such an amazing little island that I just cannot wait to go and check out. Somehow I've lived here in Southern California for all these years and I still have not done it. One of my absolute favorites, it has always been a classic, especially when they were little. Now that they're older, they still enjoy it, is hopping on the Metrolink and taking the train to the beach. The train ride alone on the Metrolink feels like part of the adventure just within itself. Although, if I am being honest, between the shark headlines and some of those giant waves, we have already made this an officially declared summer of the lake. I am a little worried with all those shark warnings out there, although I know that they're not as bad as they do seem. I still am not trying to go play with the sharks in the ocean. And you can also take the Metrolink up to LA as well. We've taken that up to the Science Museum. That was really cool. And that was definitely an adventure on its own, taking the Metrolink up to the Union Station. It was really neat. And, of course, it brings me to my favorite, Lake Perris, where I just love to go paddleboarding, and specifically on the backside where it's kind of secluded a little bit and nobody really knows about it. Just bringing those paddleboards out, the sunshine, and a little bit of peace and quiet. There is just something about being out on that water that, for me, just resets everything. And of course, let's not forget all the trampoline parks, because apparently my boys have unlimited energy, while I'm over here wondering if I jump twice, if that counts as my cardio for the week. One of my favorite places that I would go as a little girl, my parents would always drop me off for my birthday. They'd kick me out of the car and say, I'll pick you up at 10. Unfortunately, you can't do that anymore anywhere. Plus, I wouldn't do it anyways, because following my kids around a theme park all day long and annoying them is what I love to do. One place that's part of Southern California where family traditions just thrive, one of them being huge, which I know you guys all have heard, located out in Buena Park, Knott's Berry Farm. Today, I am so lucky enough to have Sara on. She's the Director of Public Relations with Knott's Berry Farm. Thank you so much for coming on, Sara.
Stephanie, I love to talk about Knott's Berry Farm. Before I worked here, I was a fan of the park. I came here on my own. So, in fact, I lived previously in Las Vegas, and we would come visit the park. So when I had the opportunity to join the team here, I jumped at it.
That's quite the travel. I know my mom used to live right down the street, and she said growing up, they'd go all the time, and it was a nickel to get in, and it was like a nickel to ride. I think it was like the Ferris wheel or something like that. I forget what it was.
Definitely different pricing, but we still like to believe that we're accessible for families.
Oh, for sure.
Still to this day.
Definitely. Yeah, we all have season passes. We get them every single year. It's like a second home to us.
Yeah. And, besides the pass holder, the annual pass holders, we now have membership, which even breaks that down further by month. Ooh. So we really do try to make it accessible for families.
And it really is. And this whole segment that I'm doing today, the show, is about being a single mom and trying to find those little fun outlets to do with my kids throughout the year, even for the day. And Knott's Berry Farm definitely does make it completely accessible for everybody. And like you said, with the different types of plans that you can get. But I do want to dive into, because it's hitting social media everywhere like crazy, the classic, I know, the classic Montezuma's Revenge. That is the only ride I can get my wimpy sister on. So I'm hoping to bring her down again to do it soon. So do you have any updates on that ride coming up?
We do. So Montezuma, the Forbidden Fortress, we are going to be welcoming guests very, very soon. I don't have that exact open date to share just yet. For those that don't know, roller coasters tend to have a mind of their own, especially this one with all of Montezuma's Revenge. But we are in that phase right now where we're testing, and then what happens, you test a little more before we can be certified to welcome guests onto the ride. But we're getting really close, and when we do, we can't wait to unleash it. It's that change. We used to have that flywheel launch system. It's going to have that random motorized launch. So everything's going to feel a little different each time you ride it. You're going to see new theming. There's new track. It's just going to be really exciting when we finally get to open the gates and let people ride it again. Because it's been years, the expectation and the interest is just growing each day. So I know we have a lot of people out there and have been watching social myself. There's some ways to kind of watch what we're doing up there from Camp Snoopy and a few other areas of the park. So all it does is add to that, anticipation for it. So we're excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I love how you shared that too, because I didn't know that it's going to be different every time you ride.
Yeah, it's slightly different.
That's
randomized,
really cool.
Launch system, or launch sequence, I should say.
Ooh, my kids love those kind of rides. Their favorite ride there is Full Throttle. Not Full Throttle. That's Six Flags. Wrong park. Accelerator. And yeah, you guys are family.
You have little daredevils, huh?
I do, and they convince me. They always convince me to go on these rides, and I'm like, I keep telling them I'm gonna have a heart attack if I go on it. But your guys' employees there are so sweet, and they reassured me that I was safe as can be, that nothing was gonna happen. So of course, your employees actually convinced me more than my child to get on there. So I did it. I'm still here, and now it's honestly probably one of my favorite rides. Nothing beats Ghost Rider, though. That is my classic.
Oh, Ghost Rider is a classic. I love that one. I am convinced, people can tell me otherwise, but I am convinced that it goes faster at night. So I really love to save that one. Plus you have the red lights. It's just amazing. But Accelerator, I've done that first thing in the morning before, and it's a great jolt. No coffee necessary. It's
right?
Just fun. And besides all of our throw rides, so we have those big throw rides. We also have Hang Time, Silver Bullet, but we have something for everyone. I know before we even started recording, we were talking about what's happening in the summer. And we're right into our summer season. For those, that follow along, Knott's, we call them our seasons of fun. We start the year with Peanut Celebration. We move into the signature Boysenberry Festival. And now we're in summer. We're in the summer programming. So by day, we have Ghost Town Alive, which is really interactive. I just brought some family here. So my husband's brother, they grew up here, and then he's been on the East Coast. He hasn't been back for decades. And then he also had his son. And it was just really fun to bring him into the park, reintroduce my brother-in-law to the park, but also now my nephew, and the daytime programming where it's really interactive. So we have what's called Founders Day in Calico, which is Ghost Town. And so all of the characters you would find in an old town are out there, whether it's the detective and the sheriff and the postmaster and the mayor and the random guy in flannel pajamas for some reason. And it's very interactive, one-on-one. You can go in and talk to the sheriff, but he might have you go deliver a letter over to the post office for him, right? So it's just ways that we get people moving around, interacting with all of the citizens of Calico. They're going to unearth a time capsule. Some kind of fight might happen. That's just, that Old West. That's bound to happen, but everything's going to be resolved by the hoedown at 4:00 in the afternoon. So lots of fun to have over the entire course of the day. But then it doesn't stop there. When the sun goes down, we transition into Knott Summer Nights, and that's all of our live entertainment. So we're going to have bands across the park, Calico Mine Stage and in Calico Park and Fiesta Plaza. Bands that cover everything from the 50s to current music, Latin, reggae, Motown, country, every kind of genre that you might be interested in. We're going to have a band for it over the next couple of weeks because the summer programming runs through the August 30th. And then we have an all new activation this year. It's called Knott Summer Nights Market. So it's located under Silver Bullet, and it's just a complete Asian night market. So it has the beautiful, colorful string lantern lights. We have a DJ playing. We have different food booths, so you can find Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, and Korean food, craft booths, a game booth, and people are just having a lot of fun with that. So there's just something new. There's plus those traditions that people come back each year for summer as well. Right after we get done with our summer programming, we move into Scary Farm, which I've been already working on the plans for that for the last month and a half, 2 months, which is crazy to me, but we are gearing up. It is, a 13th month, if you will. But that's going to run from Thursday, September 17th, all the way to Saturday, October 31st. That's going to be our nighttime scare spectacular. This in August, we'll release 2 new mazes that we'll have this year, some other new fun scare zone changes, things like that. So a lot more to come on Scary Farm. And then for those that don't want the full scares, we also have Spooky Farm for those younger or just people that want the spooky and not so much the scary. And that will run September 24th, also through October 31st. And then we wrapped it up and we move into Mary Farm. So there's always something to be seen here. Like I said, we were talking about those big thrill rides, but food, entertainment, there's just a lot to do here besides something for everyone, I like to say.
There really truly is. I mean, and I love how you go, I want to go back to the ghost town, how you explain that whole interactive thing. Me and my kids, we go to Knott's Berry Farm like religiously, and I never knew that was part, like something they could do. That sounds like really cool.
It is. Definitely let me know. I'd love to have you come back and join me, and we can take a walk around. Sure. Like I said, it was so much fun bringing my nephew through just to have those little experiences because, working here now, I walk through the park usually with one specific thing in mind to go do. So it was fun to just kind of explore. And it's a different way to experience the park than at any other time of the year. These are fun characters that you're only going to find at Knott's Berry Farm. We love our Peanuts characters, but they are here year round. We have an entire celebration about them, right? And the meet and greets, and families love them. And I mean, because Snoopy is the cutest. But then this opportunity to just, like I said, meet those residents of Calico are just a lot of fun.
That is, and it's so cool because, we're always running from ride to ride to ride, but to really sit there and stop and really appreciate everything the Knott's has to offer because there is just so much to do. My youngest isn't the biggest thrill ride seeker. He's usually the purse holder, so I love him going. But he does love, like you said, there's something for everyone. He loves the Rapids ride. He likes the log ride I got him on. He'll go on Ghost Rider because that's my favorite, so I'll offer him money to go on it, and he'll do it. I think now he's just taking money from me because I'm like, we've done it so many times, but whatever, I'll get him on there. But there really is so much to do.
There is, and then like I mentioned the Knott Summer Night shows and those cover bands, something to sing and dance along to. But there's also a couple of those live show elements. So over in Birdcage Theater, which we just renovated this year, it was at one point supposed to be just a temporary theater, and we completely renovated it. It's here to stay. It's been here for many, many decades. But Miss Cameo Kate's Burl Q Review. This Birdcage Theater is known for having melodramas, and it's just a fun song and dance show. Again, Old Western, given that we're in Ghost Town Alive season. But there's just these little pieces that bring live entertainment back in an era of which screens are so prevalent. It's so fun to see real singers and real dancers doing their craft live in front of you. And we have a new show over at the Saloon, too. So a couple of performances per day at both that Birdcage Theater as well as the Saloon. It's called Spirits and Shenanigans, which is, a fun play on words, given that it's in a saloon, but it's just Western tunes, some sharp humor, it's high energy, it's a lot of fun, high kicks, just takes you back, kind of, it gives you that old, world feel as well. And it's nice to get free from the park.
Yeah. Everything sounds so great. I can't wait to go down. We're actually going to come down Friday, so while our listeners are probably listening to us talk, we're probably there getting on a ride.
Very nice.
So we're going to come down.
When was the last time you were here?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. You've seen summer. All right. Well,
I'm telling you, we're there all the time.
Well, definitely take a look. Maybe if you didn't get a chance to before to interact with some of those characters I was talking about.
No, definitely.
Live. It's just a lot of fun, and they'll send you all across Calico with little side quests, and make sure that you become a resident of Calico. You can become a temporary resident, and then you can vote. So there's just a lot of fun that can be had.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to check that out. Well, to wrap it up, thank you again so much for coming on, Sara. I so appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy planning everything, especially that Halloween spooky time coming up. You want to give them maybe some hours, how long the summer nights are going to be going on? Just a quick wrap up, really.
Absolutely. So Ghost Town Alive, Not Summer Nights Market, daily through August 30th. Ghost Town Alive opens at 10 a.m. with the park opening. It runs through the 4 o'clock hoedown. Don't miss that part. And then following that is when Not Summer Nights takes over with the Not Summer Nights Market opening at 5 p.m. Scary Farm will start in September, run through October 31st. And then we, of course, welcome everyone back for Mary Farm at the end of November through January 3rd. Current daily hours, 10 to 10, with some later nights here and there. The best place to get any further information is going to be at knotts.com or on the app. You can find hours, showtimes, etc., all on those 2 locations.
Yep. The app is my best friend.
And all of the summer foods.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again, Sara. I appreciate you coming on. You're amazing. Sara, again, thank you so much for joining us today and for giving us a little inside scoop of what's happening this summer behind Knott's Berry Farm scenes, especially with that Montezuma's Revenge ride. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to ride it. And I know my kids are going to love it. Just hearing the little bit that she said with that takeoff. Oh my gosh, that's going to be exciting. As a boy mom, I can tell you some of our best memories haven't came from the biggest gifts or the fancy vacations. Sometimes they're just right there at places like Knott's Berry Farm. Or our Tuesday random trips up to Lake Gregory. Those road trips with terrible singing that they get to enjoy from me, which I know they secretly love. And those overpriced snacks, we somehow convince ourselves that it's worth getting because we're making those memories. The pictures that we take of our kids pretending like they secretly hate it but end up enjoying it and loving it later because I always show them and they always get that little smile. Time moves so fast and faster than we realize it sometimes. So go take those trips. Go to those amusement parks like Knott's Berry Farm. Take those pictures and say yes to those ice cream stops because the laundry will still be there tomorrow and the dishes will survive another time. But making those memories with our families, those are becoming the parts of our stories forever. Before I let you go, I also want to take a moment to thank the incredible organizations that help make Living the IE possible. Huge thank you to Harupa Mountains Discovery Center for inspiring curiosity, adventure, and family memories right here in our own backyard. And thank you to Sacred Heart Makers Guild for supporting local storytelling and helping us continue sharing people, places, and experiences that make the Inland Empire a special place to call home. And most importantly, remember this: your current chapter is not your final chapter. There is life after loss, and there is healing after heartbreak, and there is joy after grief. And sometimes the comeback story ends up being even more beautiful than the original plan ever was. Thank you for spending a part of your day here with Living the IE. Be sure to follow us on social media at Living the IE Show. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, such as iHeart, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. And if you know a local business, event, or amazing person doing great things here in our community, please send them my way because I love sharing the IE stories. Until next time, keep supporting local, keep making memories, and keep finding the beauty in your own story. We'll see you next time here on Living the IE, California's Inland Vibe, and make sure you subscribe and like our YouTube channel.